Tonight, a young woman speaks out about the abuse that was perpetrated against her allegedly at the hands of her father.
If you're going through it, if you're scared to talk, just write a note or something, let somebody know.
One concerned mother says she does not know what to do next now that her son is maimed following a shooting in Beaufort last month. And Royal Highnesses, the Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall will visit St. Lucia in March in order to join in independence celebrations. Members of the public voiced their independent thoughts on the upcoming royal visit. Those stories and more are coming up.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovely and Amy Joseph.
Good evening. It is Tuesday, the 19th of February 2019. Welcome to the Hot 7 Nightly News. We're also being simulcast on Kiss FM Radio. I am Lovely St. Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. A young lady is speaking out about her harrowing sexual abuse. After posting on Facebook about the incident, the young woman has received support from several social media users. More in this report.
A young woman who does not want her identity made public shares her story of suicide attempts after she was sexually abused by her best friend's father. The harrowing story was first made public after the young woman posted about it on Facebook on February 15th. In 4 days, the post received numerous comments, almost 100 comments, and receiving reactions from more than 400 social media users. Comments to the post were supportive and called the young woman brave. Others were inspired to tell some of their own stories. The young woman spoke briefly with Hot 7 and gave only part of her story.
It was hurting me inside, which led me to try to kill myself for the fourth or the fifth time. I lost count. And I told someone what was happening to me, and whilst I was at the hospital, because I ended up at the wellness center for a couple of weeks and whatever. Whilst I was at the hospital, they messaged my dad and told him that I was sexually assaulted, etc., etc. And he brought it to Human Services, and from there, the word came out. So I just came clean and told them everything.
The young woman has advice for anyone who may be going through similar ordeals.
I'd like for them to speak up and don't hold it inside, because it's going to eat you up, and sometimes you try to kill yourself and it actually works. Like, just if you're going through it, if you're scared to talk, just write a note or something, let somebody know, because keeping something like that inside really isn't alright. It's not nice, it hurts. It's just worst thing, like when you let it out, your own family blaming you, telling you it's your fault and you lying, and if you're not ashamed, etc., etc.
The Facebook post ended on a similar note. It reads, quote, "For anyone who is suicidal or depressed, please don't think ending your life is the answer. Just hold on, pain ends, and always pray." End quote. We were unable to reach Human Services on the matter. For now, it is unclear whether the matter will reach the courts, as the young lady has also named her alleged abuser. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solaj Alfred.
Now, with any traumatic experience, it takes a level of mental strength to help the afflicted victim with telling their side of the story. Trauma can involve domestic abuse, sexual misconduct, and physical abuse, amongst other horrendous acts. In most cases, these acts are perpetrated to strip the victim of their power. However, when a victim speaks out on any incident that has caused a level of trauma in their life, they would have taken steps towards taking their power back from the abuser. Recent social media posts by one young lady speaking out against her abuser has left counselor at the Crisis Center, Faith St. Catherine, applauding her efforts. She says that the framework that exists in St. Lucia aims to assist victims who have fallen prey to sexual exploit.
People will speak once they have options, if they know that there are systems in place to assist them. And secondly, what helps a lot of people to talk about any trauma they face or any problem they have is when they know that there are other persons who face the same problem they have. So the fact that there are persons in society now, on TV, in the media, who will come out and say, I'm a victim of sexual violence, it helps them to deal with it. You know, I'm not alone in this. Something is not wrong with me. There are other persons who face this. and they are doing okay. So people are more aware, and people are more confident to speak out because they feel they are not alone in this. This is very important.
Catherine embraces the forward movement that she believes will help shine a light on the issue of sexual violence against both men and women. She notes that with greater awareness comes an increase in empowerment for the victim.
People are speaking out more about it now than before, because long ago it was something that you don't talk about sex. Long ago you just don't talk about. And the whole idea is to keep it quiet and not let anybody know. In fact, some persons that I see have been victimized by their families because the family says you don't talk about this in public. It's going to bring shame on the family. But people are more empowered now. I'm not saying we are where we should be. We still have a long way to go. But people feel more empowered to talk about this now.
The Crisis Center remains an institution that provides counseling and support services for victims of domestic violence. Victims are encouraged to reach out to the institution when in need of its services via its 24-hour hotline, the number 453-6848 or 712-7575 for group or individual counseling. In other news, it can start with a controlled flame that can quickly escalate into a raging inferno. Fire is nothing to be taken lightly, and the St. Lucia Fire Service is urging citizens to contact the service before undertaking any sort of waste disposal that involves burning of materials. Solange Alfred reports.
There are many aspects of the St. Lucian culture that remain ingrained in the society of St. Lucia. Some of these traditions that are passed down may have been the most efficient modus operandi in its heyday. However, in the ever-changing society of St. Lucia, certain practices can no longer flourish as they would have in the past. Assistant Divisional Officer of the St. Lucia Fire Service Department, David Antoine, says that individuals who wish to burn garbage or bush are being advised to contact the Fire Service Department before taking the decision up on their own. This, he says, will provide the officers with the chance to assess the area and make a sound decision as to whether the area and materials are fit for disposal by fire.
The public is hereby informed that before engaging in any rubbish burning activities, should contact the nearest fire station for the following: to obtain the prescribed form for seeking permission for the activity, to engage fire officers who will come to your premise to inspect the content and surroundings. The fire officers will then recommend whether the content is fit for burning or not, as guided by basically two main criteria, which essentially are whether the burning will pose an immediate threat to adjacent structures or aerial traffic, or whether the content is toxic in nature.
On Sunday, a disaster was narrowly averted in Vieux after a fire set to garbage raged out of control in West Hall Group. This incited concern from residents, one of whom called the fire department to put out the blaze. Exclusive Hot 7 footage shows that the fire officers extinguished the fire within minutes. Apart from posing an environmental risk, bush and garbage burning, if left unattended, has the potential to cause devastating fires that can amount to a massive degree of casualty loss and property damages. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Solange Alfred.
Thank you, Solange. You're watching the Hot 7 Nightly News. Stay with us. When we come back, the independence debate rages on. We'll be right back.